The tradition in the labor movement has always been carried on by the spoken word. What we're trying to do is encapsulate that with the creative artwork of these performers, working performers, like myself. I'm a letter carrier, but I like to sing too, and I like to do other things besides carry mail and besides being active in my union. The trade union movement is good for people, and the spirit that Dr. King developed and the spirit of trade unionism is really one and the same thing. Better opportunity, better conditions for ordinary people.
In 1986, Jimmy Kelly returned from the annual Labor Arts Exchange in Washington, D.C., where he had roomed with an older African-American gentleman named John Hancox. John, as it turns out, was the writer of Roll the Union On and other notable labor songs. And Jimmy, inspired by the festival as well, had a new mission: to create a festival on the West Coast that was just like the Labor Arts Exchange.
I wanted to honor John Hancock's. He was a sharecropper. He didn't get credited for his song for a number of years, and I felt we should herald his contribution as a poet and as an artist, and consequently decided to call the event Western Workers. Anybody east from west was welcome.
The complete title was the Western Workers Labor Heritage Festival. And just like the gathering in D.C., it was a mixture of workshops, song swaps, art displays, and above all, performances, all meant to illuminate and glorify the struggle for labor and civil rights. In early 1987, appropriately on Martin Luther King weekend, the first festival was staged, and as you can see, it gathered enthusiastic crowds from not just the West, but all over the United States. The festival has been celebrated every year since. From Jimmy Kelly's vision came a festival that is today a gathering of the tribes, carefully staged over a 3-day weekend. With an audience full of passionate people, by their very nature activists, it wasn't hard to attract organizers who would take the festival to new heights of creativity and presentation. Most were there from the start.
It was 28 years ago. So I was very close to the beginning. I was a participant. I read about it in the San Francisco Chronicle, and I must have called someone because I somehow found out they needed volunteers to house people, so I had 2/3 of, the general strike staying at my house the very first time I went.
I was friends with Lynn Kalmar, and I knew people in Freedom Song Network, and Lynn strongly suggested that I come and check out the festival. It was in Concord at the time. And I went there, and I never stopped coming.
At some point, the organizing committee asked me if I wanted to join the organizing committee. I said yes, and the rest is history, I guess.
So Jimmy told me about the festival, and I decided to go to it. And I found out beforehand that they were trying to raise money to make a TV show about the concert of the first festival. And I was working with the building trades, so I was able to raise money from the building trades, and we made a very nice TV show, or this TV program made it, about the concert. So after that, I decided to get involved. Since I was interested in labor, I was interested in organizing, and I was interested in music. So it was a good fit.
There were just these amazing people that showed up and did poetry and theater and songs, and I thought, just like Elisa said it about LHF, you find your tribe. You find the people who share common sentiments about how to really capture the heart and soul of movement work, labor and otherwise, social justice, economics, racism. All kinds of things that we wanted to take issue with, but we wanted to find creative and better ways to do it that were uplifting and optimistic rather than always just beating it up. So that was my first experience, and from that moment forward, I said, this is it, I'm in.
Through the 90s and into the new century, the festival evolved and grew, and the demands for preparation and teamwork increased accordingly.
Over the years, we've developed a very good division of labor because different people brought different strengths to the table. My job became setting up the sites, because I had the contact with the unions, ordering the food, setting up the hotel. So my organizational skill set lends itself to doing those logistical kinds of things.
I keep the minutes. I send them out every month. I anchor the registration desk at the festival, so I'm sort of trouble central, because quite often if people have a problem, they come to the registration desk.
I help stage manage. I do a lot of day of things as well as just, I help with getting people back and forth. I help with the song circles.
I'm good at keeping meetings on task and on focus and moving through the agenda and identifying consensus. And so that's probably one of the most important roles that I play.
Fair to say, not difficult to ascertain, that I'm probably 10 or 15 years younger than a typical committee member. And as such, I think I've acted as the voice of reason.
Come and take a walk with me, green and growing land. Walk through the mountains and the meadows and the sand.
The Western Workers Labor Heritage Festival is, at its core, about inspiration and creating a path to the truth, be it through a phrase at a spoken word performance.
This capitalist system put me in a predicament. At the bottom of the pyramid, a second to last class citizen, I quit. It's time to occupy this shit. Who's with me?
A moving scene from a documentary.
If this goes through and it starts there, it's just the beginning of the end for any of the unions across the states.
A colorful image on a display board. A puppet show to introduce a concert. And most gloriously, just the right chord and lyric from a song shared by hundreds. The festival seeks to sustain the sense of empowerment that has always made possible the leveling of the playing field. Here are a few highlights from the archives.
Soon and very soon, we are gonna change the world. Soon and very soon, we are gonna change this world. Everybody, soon and very soon, we are gonna change this world. It'll last forever and ever. We're gonna change the world.
The great who trod our fathers down, who steal our children's bread, whose hand of greed is stretched to rob the living and the dead. Then sing our rebel song as we proudly sweep along in the age-long tyranny that makes for human tears. Our march is nearer done with the setting of the sun, and the tyrant's might is passing with the passing of the years.
In the argument, we went from if we had the death penalty, it would deter crime, and then we started having a different argument. We need the death penalty to give people a sense of closure. Right? So I mean, it's like when I say you hear it in a different way, it's almost like no matter where I stand in society, what I see is master with a whip. Everybody else may not see master with the whip, but I see the whip coming.
Sometimes people say to me at the end of my presentations. Mrs. Banks, when you tell us all these news stories, how do we know where the truth ends and what you're making up begins? And I say to them, that's politics.
With many songs, from north to south, from east to west,
Thank you, Scalia, for my academia wear. Hoping to see you real soon. We hope that you're headed here for the wedding, not for the honeymoon. We'll be happy as can be, me and my GE. Who could ask for more? We'll live the corporate life as husband and wife and make all our love offshore.
The black folks in Detroit rescued Thornton from the same jail cell I had escaped from the night before. They tell me it was quite a sight to see. Blacks and mulattoes from Detroit and Canada came out in broad open daytime to set my Thornton free. They didn't even have to hurt nobody, because nobody was expecting us to rise up and fight for each other. But we did.
Well, I did not think about it all of my 8-hour day. And I did not think about it updating my resume. Not in that safe, well-lit office of mine, not while collecting my overtime and signing my name. But I thought about it all weekend. Yeah, I thought about it all weekend. I thought about it all weekend, and to this conclusion I came. The unions are to blame. There was a painful recession, and the CEO lost his yacht. He had to mortgage his summer home. It's one of just 3 he's got. How could this happen? Well, I believe it's that one of his employees with health benefits filed a claim. I thought about it all weekend, and I thought about it on my lunch break. I thought about it on my paid vacation, and to this conclusion I came. The unions are to blame.
'Cause the road is a rough one. Change don't come easy. It's not every battle we win. Power cedes nothing till we demand it, and that's where your music comes in. We've made it so far, yet still where we are is the start of a journey so long. If we're gonna get there, and we plan on staying, it's gonna take all of us, like you were saying. There's no other way in. We've got to keep playing your song. Got to keep playing your song.
We need
your friends and your neighbors, the poets and the painters, the socialists and the anarchists, the pacifists and the humanists. Every culture and community takes black and white and brown. Times we won't see eye to eye, but we stand on common ground. Gonna take us all to make a change, take us all to win the peace. Gonna take us all in the streets, gonna take us all to make a change, all to win the peace, all in the streets, all. It's gonna take us all.
From John Hancock's and Pete Seeger to Faith Petrick, John Fromer, and countless other artists and activists, the Western Workers Labor Heritage Festival has come to mean many things to many people. And in 2016, it will be celebrating its 30th birthday. It has taken the efforts of dozens of people to make the festival a success each year, but two of its founders, who recently passed away, should be especially noted. The vision and ceaseless work of John Fromer and David Winters helped make the Western Workers Festival what it is today.
He knew everybody loved him. He could call many, many people and get their involvement, and people really wanted to work with him because of both his talent and his activism and his wonderful personal qualities.
He had an incredible ability to break out those cliques and all that stuff. So whenever there were new people, me, anybody else, when were people that were around, he always made people feel welcome. And so over the years became one of my best friends in the world.
David was such a sweetheart. He had a philosophy of don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. So he made everything work. He was adamant that all the musicians be members of the musician union.
I saw David more days of the festival, and he was just always there and always doing things. And until he passed away, you didn't even know just how many things that he did. It was incredible the amount of work that both him and John put into the festival.
And on that sign it said, private property, but on the other side, it didn't say nothing. That sign was made for you and me.
It is possible that this will be the final year of the Western Workers Labor Heritage Festival. But festival founder Jimmy Kelly is not giving up hope that it will live on in some form.
Joe Hill said, "I never died." And I don't think Western Workers will die. I think it just needs to transform into something that evolves into something meaningful in a different way.
I like to think that we have made cultural efforts more integrated into the labor movement, and that much of that will keep going on its own, where people now understand that if you have a big rally, you should have music.
Regardless of its long-term fate, there is no doubt that next year's festival, to be held at the Machinist Hall, 1511 Rollins Road in Burlingame, on January 15th, 16th, and 17th, will be the best in its storied history. If you're a fan of the rich culture that surrounds civil rights and labor activism, it will be an event not to be missed. See you at Machinist Hall in January 2016.
One last time, everybody go in peace. We shall overcome.